Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and today we're going to take a look at some of the current equipment we have coming in for the new ham shack. And this is all 5.8 gigahertz drone transmitters and receivers, which transmit a television signal on 5.8 gigahertz. And here are the receivers and the antennas and the bias tees for the amplifier at the top of the antenna, so stay tuned. We'd like to ask that you please subscribe, hit the like button, and the notify to stay current with our content. Thank you. Now this is going to be a mixed bag of tricks for you folks, but here are the 2.4 gigahertz antennas that go with the transmitter and receivers that you can buy. And again, these are for drones, but this will be a 3-watt transmitter and a pair receiver. So stay tuned for some more. So this is what the transmitter and the receiver look like, and their little booklet. They come with all the cables you need to hook them up, and basically it's just a 1/8 inch, a 3.5 millimeter plug, and then you have audio left and right and video coming out, and that's how you can hook those up. And again, these are available from Amazon, and they're for drones. But there's some other equipment that you're going to be using, and as you can see, there's a lot of ways to get on digital television when you have drone equipment, and there are other transmitter receiver things out there. And I just happen to keep them all in cigar boxes. It makes them nice to organize and put on the shelves. And then here you have a 440 megahertz or 432 megahertz ATV transmitter, and again you hook it up to the little television camera there and some power, and then you are transmitting on 440 megahertz an ATV signal, and this will be in the ham bands again. And then that is the ATV receiver. Again, they don't make these anymore, but there you go. You can transmit and receive on the 70 centimeter band with this receiver. And you need a video monitor and some other stuff to hook it up, but we're just keeping it all organized. So stay tuned for a bit more fun. Then we also have a box of RF connectors and N-type cables, both in LNR 400, 8U, and in the SMA coax. So we're collecting all the bits and pieces we'll need to get our ham station on the air. And as you can see, we're using quite a few cigar boxes. And that was a 1200 watt board for making an amplifier for 432. Got that off of eBay. And then here are some more little modules. Again, we're buying all of these up. That's a 1.2 gigahertz transmitter. You need to hook up the jacks for audio, video, and power. But again, it's all in bubble wrap and all in a cigar box, nicely saved away. We'll be getting it out and hooking it up and having some fun. We have all the antennas for them, so that's not going to be an issue for us. And here's another little module for modulating. And again, it's got an SMA connector on it for getting the signal out. And here you go. It's a long range. Again, this is all for a drone, but we're not going to be using on a drone. We're going to be using the 0.5 watt of power coming out, and we're going to put it to an amplifier in one of our antennas, and that's going to be our transmitting station for amateur television and digital television. And now let's move over and take a look at the current ham station. There's a digital antenna that we made for television, and we're replacing it with this little powered antenna that goes to the television right there. So that's for picking up our television signals on the air and what we're transmitting. And that's a Radio Ditty quad band. Does 2 meters, 220, 350, and 440. So 3 of the 4 bands we can use. And then there's our FTM 300D, our Yaesu, and it's on top of there. And it's hooked up right now, which allows us to talk on 2 meters and do beaconing. And then our Arrow antenna right there for working with the ISS. It's 2 meters and 70 centimeters. And then there's our passive radar, also from Arrow antennas. So that's our current ham station situation. The radios are hooked up on the power strip, the monitor there for video work. And again, that little Radio Ditty, 25 watts, not a bad deal. And that's a bias tee right there. And bias tees allow you to put 12 volts on the RF line going up to the antenna, so you can put a receiver with another bias tee and pull the 12 volts out and power it at the top of the tower so that you're getting the best signal to amplify. And again, these are for 5.8 gigahertz, and we're going to be using them with the parabolic grids. And then we also have this antenna rotator, and this is from a Home Depot television antenna for VHF, UHF. It rotates up through the cable, and as you can see here, it's spinning around. And so I was looking at this, not only one for having a television antenna for over the air put up on top of the roof and being able to point it, but I was also thinking it's got that little square bracket. Maybe we can put a ham antenna on there like 1.2 gig and be able to swing it around. The total antenna package is like $24.50, so that's not a bad deal for a rotator that you can use up on top of the house. So that's what we're looking at. We'll be having the antenna installed on a mast on the side of the house. Now we have a specialty mast for that, again from Home Depot. Bolts to the side of the house. It's got a jog in it to go around the gutters or the edge lip, and it puts it up above the roof so you can point it and swing it around. It swings 20 seconds to go a full circle one direction. It can do 3 full circuits in a minute, so that kind of gives you a feel for how fast it will rotate your antenna. And then the lines coming out, you have the VHF and the UHF hooked into it. It all comes down through a balun and a common line. And this is the mount for going on the side of the house to get past the jog of the edge of the house or the gutters that you have to go by. So that's what the antenna is going to be going on, and it's going to be up about 20 feet. And then in the 2.4 gig range, we saw these already. These are the transmitters and receivers. The transmitters are 3 watts, and it's not a bad deal. And then you get to select one of 8 channels for it. We did the math and we looked through all the numbers, and actually 4 of them are usable on the ham bands, 4 are not. But still, not a bad deal for $29.95 transmitter and receiver, antennas and cables, all to get up and start transmitting. So here's another look at the transmitters, and the transmitter is on the left, the receiver is on the right. Again, it's 3 watts. We're going to be putting these out through Yagi antennas at 16 dB gain, so we should be able to go quite the distance. And these are the rubber duck antennas. They're SMA connectors. They have a 90-degree bend in them, but they're again for 2.4 gigahertz. And these are the antennas that come with the radio and the receiver, but we have some commercially made ones we're going to use to get some extra distance out of them. But we thought we'd give you a good look at the transmitter and the receiver here. And again, this is for 2.4 gigahertz, and we're going to be adapting this equipment for ATV or just to play around on the bands with it. It is a fairly wide signal. And the transmitter and receiver both come with their own power supplies. You just plug in, and then they also have an adapter. And I grabbed one of my 12-volt collinear power feeds, and I'm going to be able to power it from the power supply. Don't have to use the 110 volts that they have in there. So that's a little change that's coming for our radio station. And then here you can see where the audio, stereo, left and right come out, and the video, and they come with all the cables for it. And then in the little book we want to look at right here, it's a little bit about how you can hook things, and there's some safety information in there, so stay away from power lines and stuff like that when you're installing antennas on the outside of your house near anything. And then here are the 8 channels that it covers, and the ones in bold are the ones that fall within the ham bands that we can use. The lightweight ones we will not be able to use. So ladies and gentlemen, we hope you found all this useful and informative. Thanks so much for watching, and hope to see you on the air. Forget buying expensive toys for your kittens and cats. We find that just taking the aircraft spruce box and the paper on the tile floor is more than enough amusement for them for hours.